सदा धरणि कृष्ण नाम सतत निन्न चरण सेव नीदुयन गिरा सदा निन्न नालिगयलि भरणि राम नाम सदा निन्न नालिगयलि भरणि राम नाम ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಮ ನೆರವುದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀಡು ನನಗೆ ಸುಮನವ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಮ ಉದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀಡು ನನಗೆ ಸುಮನವ ನಾನಿನ್ನ ನಂಬಿದೆನು ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಚಂದ್ರನ ಸದಾ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಲಿಗೆಯಲಿ ಭರಲಿ ರಾಮನ ಸದಾ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಲಿಗೆಯಲಿ ಭರಲಿ ರಾಮನ ರಾಮನ ಭರಲಿ ರಾಮನ शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की शरण बिना मुझे कछु नहीं भावे शरण बिना मुझे कछु नहीं भावे झूठ माया सब सपन की झूठ माया सब सपन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की सागर सब सुख गया है भव सागर सब सुख गया है कर नहीं मुझे तरनन की मुझे शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर मीरा के प्रभु नागर कलक भई मोरे नयनन की कलक भई मोरे नयनन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन शरणन की मोरी लागी लगन नयती माधवा गोपाल कृष्ण गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा जय नंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाला गोविंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाला गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा गिरिधारी गिरिधारी जय राधे गोपाला गिरिधारी गिरिधारी जय राधे गोपाला घनश्याम श्याम श्याम जय जय राधे गोपाला घनश्याम श्याम श्याम जय जय राधे गोपाला जय नंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाला जय नंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाला गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा गिरिधारी गिरिधारी जय राधे गोपाला गिरिधारी गिरिधारी जय राधे गोपाला घनश्याम श्याम श्याम जय जय राधे गोपाला घनश्याम श्याम श्याम जय जय राधे गोपाला जय नंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाला जय नंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाला गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा गोविंद माधवा गोपाल केशवा गोपाल केशवा गोपाल केशवा सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शांति शांति शांति. Together we will chant the Bhaj Govindam verses 5 to 15, please. भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते संप्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति डुक्रुन्करणे यावद्वित्तोपार्जनसक्तः तावन्निज परिवारो रक्तः पश्चाज्जीवति जर्जर देहे वार्तां कोऽपि न पृच्छति गेहे यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बिभ्यति तस्मिन् काये बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारो यमतीव विचित्रः कस्य त्वं कः कुत आयातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः सत्संगत्वे निस्संगत्वं निस्संगत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः मा कुरु धनजन मा कुरु धनजन यौवनगर्वं हरति निमेषात् कालः सर्वं मायामयमिदमखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशावायुः काते कान्ता धनगत चिन्ता वातुल किं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सज्जन संगतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका जटिलो मुण्डीलुञ्छितकेशः काषायाम्बर बहुकृतवेषः पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढो हृदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः दिनयामिन्यौ अंगं गलितं फलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डम् वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चति पाशापिण्डम् भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति डुक्रुन्करणे. So we have been in the chapter of Vedanta Treatise, the states of consciousness. As you all know and we are all experiencing, we are only aware. No human being in the world is above these three states of consciousness. This is the most important aspect of human life, most neglected, most obliterated, not given importance to analyze. Where is the human being today? The three states of consciousness, which every human being is currently at this moment caught up, completely lost his own real self and caught up in these three states of consciousness, which we have been thoroughly studying. The waking state of consciousness, at this moment you are experiencing the Veka, you are the Veka experiencing, contacting this waking world of objects and beings, and your perceptions of the body, actions of the body, feelings and emotions of the mind, thoughts and ideas of the intellect of this waker personality. You are experiencing this total waking state, completely caught up, and you believe this is real. This particular state of consciousness, you are caught up. The same person, this particular waker, which you are assuming yourself now, when you go to the bed tonight, you could dream as if you are somebody else. Like today you are a Olympic runner, but you could dream as a person with terminal disease, an invalid, in sitting in wheelchair. That could be a dreamer. You are assuming the position of a dreamer and experiencing the dream world of objects and beings and dream state. In the waking world, as a waker, you are a married person with family, wife and children, but you could dream you are a bachelor, invalid, suffering from terminal disease. This is possible, but the dreamer believes, experiences, and he vehemently asserts, emphatically says that the dream state of consciousness which he is going through is real to him, and no gods can tell him that that is false, temporary state, until and unless the dreamer has to wake up from the dream state to waking state. This is the problem the great masters having the challenge to communicate. There is a fourth state of consciousness. There is a pure consciousness, God consciousness, but no clue, nobody able to communicate. That is the problem. The great sages and saints who are experiencing that fourth state, is not able to transact with the third state of waking state of consciousness. This is the what we have been studying. Now we are in this topic of fourth plane of consciousness, the God consciousness, the real state which we belong. We are in that state originally. That is the state of Turiya, fourth plane, the state of immortality, the state of permanent peace and bliss, the eternal, long lasting reality, the truth, the God state, the infinite state which you belong. At this moment, because of ignorance of that supreme self, the Atman, reduced ourselves to this individuality, the Jiva, who is going through these three assumed personalities of the Veka, the waking state of consciousness as a Veka, assuming the waking state in the waker and contacting, experiencing the waking world, and is assuming the dreamer, dream state. In the dream state, he becomes the dreamer, contacting the dream world of objects and beings and experiences. And you go to the third state when you are assuming the position of deep sleeper, where you are experiencing nothingness, a void, an emptiness, blankness, just ignorance. So these are the three states of consciousness we are continuously revolving ourselves. At any point of time, either we are at the position of the Veka or the dreamer or the deep sleeper. Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. This is the life is going on, and no clue what happened, what tragedy fell upon humanity. That is the outcry of this great Upanishadic masters who reached that fourth plane, continuously communicating in through this knowledge, saying that you belong to the fourth state. Get out from this slumber, from this ignorance, from this bondage, from this suffering. You belong to the peace and bliss. But there is no way they could communicate unless until you have to understand these three states and their limitation, their conditioning, and you should understand your conditioned state, and then you wake up and try to get out of this by putting effort. It is not a casual state, fourth state to get anybody could reach. You have to go through this understanding of spiritual path by realizing, by gaining the knowledge of the supreme self, the fourth state, and then you get to that state. This is the order of the day for which the guidance has been given by the experienced masters. Those who reached that state, reveling in that state, they came down to us and then giving us this solution to the problems of the world and the identity we have lost, the false identity and the real identity, what we originally belong. And they are step by step, shoulder to shoulder, gradually, carefully taking us to the fourth plane. The only thing what we need is the surrender, implicit faith with coupled with constant, careful logic and reason. Scientifically, methodically, you could reach it. So the fourth state, the topic we are going to study thoroughly, so that we can try to get some glimpse of that what could be the fourth state in this discussion. So in the waking, dream and deep sleep states of consciousness, you become the waker, dreamer and a sleeper. So the three states of consciousness where you become a specific role you play, a character role. At this moment you are the waker because you are in the state of waking state of consciousness. So, and when you go to bed, you become the dreamer. You enter into the dream state of consciousness. When you go to the deep sleep, You experience, you play the role of deep sleeper. All through your life as a waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, you refer, you connect to yourself, you relate to yourself as first person singular pronoun. I am, I am, I am, I am will continue forever. I will never leave you, irrespective of whatever state you are. It doesn't matter whether you are a waker or a dreamer or a deep sleeper. The personalities are distinct and different. The names are distinct and different. The position is distinct and different. The world is distinct and different. No connection. Completely different state of consciousness. The waker and his waking world is completely distinct personality. His body, mind, and intellect is completely different from the dreamer's body, dreamer's mind, dreamer's intellect. But the I am will continue. When you take the position of the waker, you say, I am this person, this height, this weight, this visiting card, this power, this position, this name, this form, this identity, this family, this locality, everything you have a autobiography. Completely you have on your own. When you go to the dream, you have a completely different personality, different name, different visiting card, but you carry the same I am will come to you. So that I will never leave you. But you know that the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper are distinct and different from each other, one another. Hence, these are three unequal factors. So, waker is different from dreamer, dreamer is different from deep sleeper, but all are connected. All are connected to one factor, I am, I am, I am. How can three unequal factors can be equated to one I is the question we have to investigate. The problem is lack of capacity to question, to investigate, to think. It is the basically intellectual fatigue. The human being is not able to step up to the higher level of understanding. The knowledge is not able to penetrate into the human being because of the incapacity to stretch their intellects by experiencing. And gurus cannot help it. You have to exercise your intellect by yourself only. There is no other way. There is no shortcut to realization until you exercise your intellect. They can only give you ideas. They can give you the knowledge. They cannot give you wisdom. That's what the great masters facing the problem. It's just like a muscles building. No gym in the world can give you muscles directly. No gym trainer, a six-pack owner. You purchase a gym because you are rich, and you hire a gym trainer, and you just relax. It's not possible. You will not get fit body. You got to fit yourself by exercising your existing muscles to that greater fitness. Similarly, people purchase gyms, people have monthly card, people have yearly card, they become member of gym and all. But what they do? They start sitting and eating popcorn in the gym. They don't do any exercise. And who is benefited? More slim and trim, the gym trainer. Taking your money, he is getting benefited, health and money both. And you are going to become pauper at the end of the day. So this is what happening. Not able to exercise the intellect. The intellect poverty at the intellectual level rampant everywhere. So what is that great master telling? There is a common factor which you refer to, which you identify with you. I am constantly haunting you, following you, percolating in every aspect of you, every experience of you. permeating, percolating, and coming back with you, that is called I am, the single possessive pronoun I, first person singular pronoun. I am, I will come. This I constantly enters into you there, but you are equating to through unequal factors. How can hence these three unequal factors cannot be I? Waker is not the dreamer, dreamer is not the deep sleeper, but I am the waker, I am the dreamer, I am the deep sleeper. How it is possible? I am, it's like asking three people, three names, Subbarao, Venkatrao, Ramarao. I am Venkatrao, I am Subbarao, I am Ramarao. How can be I am Subbarao is equal to I am Venkatrao is equal to I am Ramarao? Subbarao is different from Venkatrao is different from Ramarao. No, but I am coming. There is a simple cooperation of thinking is needed to understand this logic. The absurdity going on within your system, you can understand externally. When it comes to application within you, you are confused. You are completely lost. This is the tragedy going on. So that I comes to you. You play the character of waker. I am the waker, you say. Then similarly, you say, I am the dreamer. How can you be the same waker and the same dreamer? Impossible. And you go to the bed, the deep sleeper, you say, I am the deep sleeper. So when the three are distinct and different and refer to the same I, then the question arises, what is this I? What is this single first person pronoun, singular pronoun? What is this? So the great masters help us to understand this. The I is apart from them. I is distinct from these three. I is nothing to do with these three. I is the supreme self, the Atman, the common factor, the common denominator. So the self that holds these three personalities, distinct personalities together, it is the holding factor, integrating factor, combining and making a unity in the different personalities, that holding them together. That I is the supreme self. Since it is cannot be distinct and different like a waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, and it is entering into all the three states of consciousness, entering into three states. Therefore, it has to be separate, distinct, and apart from these three states, it has to be in the fourth state. That is the logic you have to derive by careful, gradual, mathematical, systematic thinking and conclusion rationally. Then you will be able to perceive, conceive, understand what is that distinctness, aloofness, apartness, separateness of the I apart from these three personalities. Then you see that, oh, the self is that pure consciousness, God consciousness, which is nothing to do with I am right now. I am the waker, but I am not the waker. I am assuming as a waker. The waker is not the I. The dreamer is not the I. The deep sleeper not the I. But I am referring to I am the waker, I am the dreamer, I am the deep sleeper. What a blunder. What a mistake we are making. What a flaw. That is the wrong identity we are assuming. Because the waker and dreamer and deep sleeper are distinct personalities, individualities, no connection to each other. Therefore, you have to understand the deeper import of this I am and how it is percolating and permeating in all levels of personality, so that you will be able to see the singular pronoun, the first person pronoun I as the supreme self. So the self that holds the three personalities together. Therefore, since it is the fourth and distinct and aloof and separate from the three personalities which are completely different, completely changing, and the waker is different from dreamer, dreamer is different from deep sleeper, and they are all conditioned consciousness. So conditioned states, conditioned by, suppose the waker is conditioned by the waking state of consciousness and the waking world. As long as the waking world exists, waker exists. The moment waker crosses the boundary of the waking state, he becomes nullified, but the I remains. The I only comes out and becomes the dreamer, assuming, and the dreamer becoming the another conditioned state of dream state of consciousness, and he is lasting for time, but he is conditioned by the boundary periphery of the dream state. And the moment he crosses, the dreamer crosses the portals of the dream world, either the deep sleep or the waker, then he automatically loses his identity, individuality as a dreamer, and the I will come to you. Next level is the deep sleeper, which is nothingness, but it is a conditioned consciousness. So these are all conditioned consciousness. But when they cross and come out as a pure I, nascent I, clean I, unconditioned I, unindividualized I, unlimited I in its original form is the pure self, the pure consciousness, the infinite consciousness, the unconditioned consciousness, the God consciousness that becomes. That has to be clinched, that has to be holded. That is our aim, that is our ambition, that is our ultimate goal in life. Once you realize that, once you understand, once you are able to apprehend that, then you will reach the supreme self. That is called the state of fourth plane of consciousness, God consciousness. That where you reach the enlightenment, immortality. Then onwards, there is no more conditioning, there is no more suffering, there is no more limitation. This is the state what the great masters, that is called Turiya. Turiya means fourth plane of consciousness. Fourth plane of consciousness is the God consciousness known as Turiya Avastha. Turiya means fourth, the state of reality. That's what where we belong. We are living in a false state, imprisoned state, the unreal state, the temporary state, the conditioned state at this moment. That itself recognizing and trying to investigate and penetrate an irresistible desire, intense feeling, intense commitment to get out of this is the mumukshatva, the desire to liberate, the desire to come out of this conditioning to reach the fourth plane is the great desire. Those great masters have that, who are the Buddha, the great Adi Shankaracharya, great Vivekananda. All these great masters have that zeal or interest or the intense desire, that mumukshatva. They reached that fourth plane. That fourth plane is meant by this state of reality, that supreme state where you enjoy the supreme peace and bliss, infinite happiness, infinite peace. Those who have reached, those who have achieved that state of enlightenment, that state in different periods of history, in different geographical places, in different periods of history, in different times. Periods of history means in different time periods. One person could be achieved a fourth state of consciousness at the 8th century, who is, we call him Adi Shankaracharya. Before Treta Yuga, Draupar Yuga, there are great Bhishmacharya. He is an enlightened soul. He is the Sanjaya, Vidura, the great devotees of Lord Krishna, Kunti. So all are the great rishis, Vishwamitra, Vasishtha. So Maharishis, they are all enlightened sages and saints. India is a land of enlightened souls. The Satya Yuga, all are enlightened masters. They who reached that state till this generation, what is that, 13th century or 14th century, where Ramanujacharya, who reached that fourth plane of consciousness. Similarly, Adi Shankaracharya and Ramanujacharya, all the various masters who reached that state, Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you can take n number of different periods of time, different locations, geographical places. They have no connection with one person to another person. There is no relation, there is no communication. They just got to that fourth state by themselves. So that is by going through this spiritual contemplation, spiritual knowledge, this self understanding, this pursuit they gone through, exercise, same exercise, they reached that state. Declared those declared that to be the absolute state of fulfillment. After reaching and experiencing that state, they have declared, we don't want any more, we are completed, we are paripurna, we are full, all full, whole, infinite state we are experiencing. So when you go to them, when you talk to them, they may be apparently outside looking, apparently they may be a dire poverty, they may not have anything, but there are some people, some great masters, they are in opulence, they are in king's palace like King Janaka. So it doesn't matter what type of situation, circumstances, or what is their vocation or occupation or position or lifestyle, it doesn't make any difference to them, because they have prarabdhic vasanas, they have whatever they're born with, but they have nothing to do with it. After realizing the supreme self, after experiencing infinite status, they are not interested in anything, because they are everything, they become everything, they become infinite. That's what you mean by they say that it is state of absolute state of fulfillment. Absolute state of fulfillment. Right now we are in relative state of fulfillment. So the word relative and absolute, the connotation is relative level means relation to your desires, relation to your situation, relation to your mental state, relation to your external conditions, relation to your body, mind, intellect is your current state of affairs. Your conditioned state is relative state. When you reach absolute state, your unconditioned state, which is infinite state. Infinite has no death and birth, there is no suffering, there is absolute peace and bliss. That is the state of self-sufficiency, absolute fulfillment, contentment. That is the ultimate state, which is non-return state. You can't return back again. Once you reach, there is no comeback. So it is very interesting. The fourth plane of consciousness, how much you talk about, you cannot understand, because it is infinite. Infinite cannot be communicated. It is beyond intellect, beyond conceptual understanding. Any thought or idea cannot completely describe, explain, communicate the infinite, because it is a finite equipment. Intellect is a finite equipment. I am using, our great masters uses, anybody uses, but the self, the Atman, is beyond intellect. It is the infinite state. Therefore our right now main obligatory duty and responsibility is to try to understand, investigate what is this I, how this I is distinct and separate from these three personalities. How can I use this I to, I am the waker, refer to this personality, I am the waker, I am the dreamer, I am the deep sleeper. How can I use? I am not the waker, I am not the dreamer, I am not the deep sleeper. So when anybody says anything, you have to pause. Who are you? They say, I am Mr. So and so. You are not Mr. Venkatrao or Subbarao or Ramarao. The waker is Subbarao. The dreamer is Ramarao. The deep sleeper is Venkatrao. Nothing to do with the I. But you always blunder. You destroy the pure self, and you, the common factor, and reduce the pure self into conditioned self. You modify, you qualify, you reduce the pure I to limited I. That is the blunder. We should understand and step up to that pure consciousness. I am not the waker. Subbarao is the waker. I am not the dreamer. Venkatrao is the dreamer. I am not the deep sleeper. Ramarao is the deep sleeper. Remember this kind of thing. Then who are you? You are the Atman. right now assuming this waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, but the mission, the goal, the purpose, the pursuit, the ultimate, the realization, ultimate goal, ultimate cause why you are born in this world as a human being is to reach that plane of fourth plane of God consciousness. That must be back of your mind constantly, should propel your activities, propel your mind, back of your mind, that should be ringing. That's what great Adi Shankaracharya time and again hammering to us. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja, Mudhamate, foolish, ignorant foolishness of limited life which you belong to the infinite. Why are you constantly caught up? Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukrun karne. It will not save you. This will not help you. You have to step up, is the time and again the great masters coming and telling us. Similarly, the Ramana Maharshi, if you go, is simply asking the same question. Who are you? You give me that address, I will know who are you. So you are constantly, you go to the any master, they will only ask you, find out that I, who am I? Go to the same Bhajagovindam, the same Adi Shankaracharya constantly saying that the identity, the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, you are not the waker, you are not the dreamer, you are not the deep sleeper. So the yoga ratova, bhoga ratova, sanga ratova, sanga vihinaha, yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandayati eva. It doesn't matter what you do in life, what is your background in your life. It doesn't matter what is your background, what is your occupation, what is your vocation, where you live, what is your status or position or name or form, nothing. Are you committed to the supreme self investigation or not? Parame Brahmani Kopena Saktaha. Who is really interested in realization of the supreme self and reaching the fourth plane? That is what the outcry of all the masters. Balastavat Kridasakta, Tarunastavat Taruni Sakta, Vruddhastavat Chinta Sakta, Parame Brahmani Kopena Sakta. Whole life is squandered away in these frivolities of life. The hollowness of the world will not give you the supreme happiness which you are searching for. You are looking for permanent happiness, and the permanent happiness cannot be experienced by these frivolities, the hollowness, the emptiness of these objects and beings, and experience of the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, which you are spending unnecessarily and suffering at the end. So step up and realize the supreme self, the Atman, the real I, is the guidance and given by knowledge, given by the declarations by the enlightened masters. Those who have reached that state in different periods of time, in different periods of history, have declared that to be the absolute state of fulfillment. Therefore, it is not based on unscientific, it is not based on illogical, it's not based on unreasonable, it's not based on hypothesis, or it's not based on imagination, it is not based on a belief. People think Vedanta also big belief because of lack of intellectual application, lack of intellectual exercise. The tamasic state is rampant everywhere at the intellectual plane. They don't want to apply themselves. They don't want to reason. Beyond a point, they can't able to use that intellect. The intellect stops functioning. It is simply complacency, destroyed humans, and not able to step up to that great state of fourth plane. The great intellectual capacity. That's why Vedanta is a science. Vedanta is a inquiry based on systematic, procedural study, understanding, knowledge. It is not a emotion. It is not a belief. It's not a faith. There's no doubt it starts from faith, but you have to use your existing intellect and apply it thoroughly to stretch itself. Therefore, the great masters guiding us the step-by-step approach. So the I is the investigating factor. The moment you start investigating, you are moving close to the Supreme Self, the Atman. It is within the reach of every human being. The human being alone is the chef, the war of creation, the masterpiece of creation, the greatest of creation of all the living beings is the human being. And the human being alone is designed to reach that state of fourth plane, the state of Turiya, God state. But alas, alas, says the Upanishad, hardly anybody is able to reach it. Anybody able to conceive it? Anybody is able to understand it? Hardly anybody pursues it, and rare one reaches it. This is the current condition of the sad plight of the human history. The great masters are trying to communicate. So, the fourth state is proclaimed as the real state. The fourth state. What is the fourth state? That is your real state. That is your original state. That is your actual identity. Who are you? I am the Atman. I am not the body, because body you have. It will come to you, you possess it, you use it, you leave it, you discard it. Every night you are dropping it, you are dropping the body in the deep sleep, and you are experiencing the deep sleep, where you are alive, but the body is not there with you. What are you? Deep sleeper. Assuming position of deep sleeper. Without the body, mind, intellect, all three are absent. All equipments are just disconnected. And you are simply in yourself, the deep sleeper. So, but it is temporary, because it's the vasanas, the seed body. It is not real state. Real state is beyond the deep sleeper, which is the supreme God, the Atman. So here is the vasanas, the unmanifest desires, the seed form. The moment you get up, the dreamer, you get the mind and intellect. The physical body is not there, only mind and intellect. You assume the position of the dreamer. So, your original state is the supreme self, the Atman. You are unaware of your real self. So, at this moment, we are only aware of our world, our family, our material conditions, our physical body. You are aware of the body. You are aware of your mind. You are aware of your intellect, thinking, reasoning, your feelings, your mind, your body, your perceptions and actions. You are aware, but you are not aware of the self within you. You are that self, nobody is aware. That is the condition of today's ignorance of every human being. The awareness is the problem. Nobody is aware of the Supreme Self, the Atman within. You know only your material equipments about you, and you think you are them. You are not them. You are the self, but you are not aware. You have lost that your original nature. The nature of your self, the Supreme Self, the nature is peace and bliss, infinite peace and bliss. You have lost your original nature. You try to regain. So, even though you are not aware, the self will not leave you. That is the beauty. It is like a coil spring. The more you pressurize, the more you are pushed towards its original nature. Similarly, you are pressurized towards the self. Until you reach the self, the nature will not leave you. You got to reach the self. You got to get enlightened at the bayonet's point. Nobody can save you. Nobody can push you. Nobody can help you. But you cannot escape from that push also. You have to push yourself. The moment you start going in right direction, nature seem to be helping you. It's very interesting. So you got to put yourself into the track of search for the self immediately. There is no time left. That's what you should feel the urgency. You try to because you are already trying to regain your peace and bliss. You are constantly looking, searching for happiness, regaining your original nature unconsciously, unknowingly. You are trying to search for that. Why don't you find out knowingly, by consciously? It is easy way to get it rather than unknowingly, unconsciously, trial and error method. You have the time tested method, systematic procedure of Vedanta. So you try to regain peace and bliss from the world. So what are you doing? You are trying to eke out, extract the infinite happiness, infinite state of peace and bliss from the world of objects and beings, and therefore you are not able to get because there is no happiness or peace and bliss in the world. So you are trying to reach that original state through the wrong method of contacting the world. There is a constant pressure. So everybody is running after this world with a lot of pressure within, not being aware they are in wrong direction. Somebody is run after money, accumulating money, crores. Somebody is running after name, fame. Somebody is running after relationships. Somebody is chasing the materiality, sensuality, trying to reach that original state of infinite happiness unknowingly, unconsciously. The efforts are invested in wrong direction. The constant pressure is there, but pressure starts mounting more and more. The more you get the money, the more money you want, because it is infinite state you are looking for. There is no such thing called infinite money, infinite name and fame, infinite power, infinite position, infinite. There is no such thing. But that infinite state you are, you have to direct your search within. Then the pressure starts releasing, pressure reduces. It's like a coil spring pressing down, the pressure increases. So going towards the world of objects and beings and running after the world is nothing but pressurizing, pressing down the coil spring. You got to release the pressure to its original state, its natural state. How to release? The direction is important. So what direction you are moving? In which direction you are moving? First fix the direction. How you fix the direction? First fix the goal first. If the goal is clear, the direction is formed. There is no clarity of the goal, therefore there is no clarity of the direction. Therefore you are directionless and trying to actually move in opposite direction all the time and not being aware. Unfortunately, awareness is the problem. And whoever comes and tells you, you say that you get lost, you don't know anything, I know everything. The greatest tragedy of the humanity is that the Josh Billings is the great quotation comes to the flash. What is that? The problem with the folks is not so much their ignorance, it is their knowing so many things which ain't so. Josh Billings, the great philosopher, says the problem with folks, problem with people is not so much their ignorance, it is their knowing so many things which ain't so, which not so. They believe they know. Everybody vehemently asserts, I know, I know, I know. It is impenetrable to penetrate and remove that I know. The destruction of humanity is these two terms, I and know. And the moment these two removed, the reality comes, but nobody knows. The true I will be there behind this I know. You have to change it to I don't know, then the door will open and reach the self-realization. But that is nobody wants to do. It's a difficult thing, but you got to realize what is the pursuit of these great masters. You have lost your original nature. You have lost your original self, the true self, the Atman, everybody. So you regain, you try to regain through the frivolities of the world, through that, by reaching through the world, you want to reach infinite. There is a constant pressure on you to regain more and more. You do not stop this pursuit until you reach the original state. Nobody can stop until they reach the infinite. So only a few rare souls, a few great rare individuals of great masters who have reached that state of self-realization, who have reached the enlightenment, the God state, the fourth plane of consciousness, have ended their pursuit of happiness, and they have said they don't want any more. They are already happy and peaceful permanently. They do not find the need to pursue it anymore, because they have reached that original state. Like all spring reaches its original state, there is no more pressure, there is no more force in that spring, because it is in its original state. The pressure is completely released. Similarly, when your desires are completely eradicated, you reach your original state of peace and bliss. Human being minus desires, minus thoughts, minus vasanas is the self-realization, God realization. Thus, God plus desires is equal to human being. Human being minus desires is equal to God. This is the formula. This is the only way one can get out of this bondage, this thraldom, this limitation, this conditioning, and reach the fourth plane. They do not find the need to pursue anymore. Once you reach that fulfillment, that contentment, that absoluteness, that paripurna, purnamadam, purnamada, purnamidam, purnat, purnamudachyate, purnasya, purnamadaya, purnameva vashishyate. The great enlightened masters gave us, declared through this mantra also. That is Purnam, means the Supreme Self is the Purnam. This is Purnam, means this self within you, which you have lost it, the same self within you, which you have to investigate and find out. Not the Veka. Veka is a Jiva, which is individual, the body, mind, intellect. But behind the Jiva, the spirit and the matter, the spirit is the Atman, which is the same like infinite of the that is infinite. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, this is infinite. Purnat, from that infinite, Purnat, Purnam, Udachyate. From that infinite, this infinity has come out. Means you have reduced yourself to the finite being, limited individual. But this is also infinite. You have to realize it and drop this waking dream and deep sleep. Udachyate. Purnasya, having come out from the infinite has come out. Having come out, what left is infinite. Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva vashishyate. Having come out from the infinite, and infinite come out, having come out, what left is infinite. Because infinite minus infinite is not zero, it is infinite. You need mathematics. I can't communicate now. There is a derivation, there is a mathematical derivation possible. We can display later in the PowerPoint. But the infinite minus infinite is infinite. So the infinite plus infinite also infinite. Anything is infinite only. So you got to understand that limitation. It is absolute fulfilled state, absolute paripurna state. You reach that state and you are in supreme peace and bliss. That is a state of immortality. That is a state of happiness. So they revel in the peace and bliss of own self. They enjoy self by the self. in the self. They don't need any object or being to add their pleasure, joy, or happiness. Their happiness is in the self. That's what the Bhagavad Gita also. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyev atmana tushtaha tasya prajna pratishtata. That question by Arjuna to Krishna, who is enlightened, what is the state of enlightenment? Those who have no desires and enjoying the self by the self is the enlightened state, which is the state of the Turiya, fourth plane, says by Lord Krishna Swayam in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 56. I hope so. So, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. From the mind, all desires are removed. Atmanyev atmana tushta. Enjoying the self by the self is the sthita prajna, state of perfection. That is the state of permanent state, which is Lord Krishna saying. So, it is the state of reveling in self by the self. The pressure to gain more happiness ends. There is no more pressure when one reaches the one's original state of infinite bliss. We will continue further paragraphs in the next class. Thank you very much. Hari Om.